It all started with a humble patch of dirt, just a small, unassuming rectangle of earth in my backyard. It looked so promising, so full of potential, and a whole lot of hope. A naive, boundless kind of hope that only a first-time gardener can possess. I envisioned a bountiful harvest, a vibrant explosion of color and flavor. My tomato patch was supposed to be a summer showstopper, the envy of the neighborhood, a testament to my green thumb. I imagined it overflowing with juicy, sun-ripened goodness. Ruby red fruits, glistening in the sun, destined for homemade sauces, fresh salads, and maybe even a little tomato jam. The works. I had grand plans. I did everything right, or at least I thought I did. I followed all the instructions, read all the books, watched all the videos, tilled the soil meticulously, breaking up every clump, ensuring it was perfectly aerated and ready to receive my precious seedlings, watered them religiously, providing a steady stream of life-giving moisture, and gave them that intense Texas sun, which I assumed they would adore. But my tomato plants just sat there, stubbornly refusing to thrive, mocking my efforts with their pathetic stillness. Pale and droopy, barely hanging on, like tiny green flags of surrender waving in the breeze. They looked utterly miserable. Every morning I'd check for new growth, peering hopefully at each leaf, searching for any sign of progress, any indication that my efforts were not in vain. But nothing changed. Day after day, they remained stubbornly stunted, a constant reminder of my gardening failure. Even my zinnias looked tired, their usually vibrant colors dulled, their cheerful faces drooping towards the ground, their blooms small and faded, lacking the usual exuberance, struggling to open, as if weighed down by the same mysterious malaise affecting my tomatoes. I started to wonder, what was I doing wrong? Was I cursed with some kind of anti-green thumb? Was it the soil, lacking essential nutrients? The water perhaps too hard or too soft? Or was it just me, some inherent inability to nurture life? Chip tried to cheer me up, bless his heart, telling me it was just a bad year, that even experienced gardeners have their failures. But I knew something was missing, some crucial element that I couldn't quite put my finger on. It felt like a piece of the puzzle was missing. I wanted a garden full of life, bursting with vitality, a sanctuary of green and growing things. But all I had was disappointment, a constant reminder of my failed expectations, a garden of broken dreams. The real gut punch came when Ella asked, her innocent question cutting through my carefully constructed facade of optimism. "Mama, why are the flowers so tired?" Her small voice filled with genuine concern. That word, tired, it hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Summed up my whole garden, and honestly me too. I felt as wilted and worn out as those poor, struggling plants. I was ready to give up, to throw in the trowel, to admit defeat and let the weeds take over. But I couldn't. Something inside me refused to let go, a stubborn spark of hope that wouldn't be extinguished. I needed to figure out what was happening beneath the surface, to uncover the hidden secrets of the soil, to understand why my plants were failing. There had to be a secret to bringing my tired garden back to life, a solution waiting to be discovered, a way to transform my disappointment into triumph. I wasn't ready to let my garden, my little patch of earth, succumb to failure, or my dreams, the vision of a thriving, beautiful space that I had held so dear, go just yet. I wasn't ready to give up on the possibility of a green thumb. The answer, I hoped, was out there, waiting to be found, a glimmer of hope on the horizon. Just as I was about to quit, completely defeated by the sight of my struggling garden, I felt that familiar wave of disappointment wash over me. The wilting leaves, the barren patches, it all seemed like a testament to my failure. I was ready to throw in the towel, convinced that I simply didn't have what it took to bring life to this patch of earth. I decided to seek guidance, and in a moment of desperation, I retreated indoors and began rummaging through my collection of gardening books. It was then, buried beneath layers of dust and forgotten advice, that I found a line in an old gardening book. "The life of the plant is in the life of the soil." The words seemed to jump off the page, resonating with a profound simplicity that I hadn't considered before. I'd always thought of soil as just dirt, a mere medium to hold the plants upright, but this made me pause. It was a moment of quiet contemplation, a shift in perspective that began to challenge my long-held assumptions. What if the real problem wasn't my plants, wasn't a lack of sunlight or water, but what was happening underground? What secrets were hidden beneath the surface, in the unseen world of roots and microorganisms? The book described soil as a living ecosystem, a complex web of interactions, not just a foundation. It was a revelation, a paradigm shift that changed the way I viewed my entire garden. Suddenly, I saw my garden differently. It wasn't just a collection of plants struggling to survive. It was a complex system, a delicate balance waiting to be restored. Maybe my soil was as tired as my plants. Perhaps it was depleted of the nutrients and life it needed to support a thriving garden. I realized I'd been treating symptoms, not the cause. I had been so focused on the visible signs of distress that I had completely overlooked the underlying problem. My job wasn't just to water leaves, to provide superficial care, but to nurture the hidden world below, to cultivate a thriving ecosystem that would support the plants from the ground up. This new perspective gave me hope. It was a glimmer of possibility, a sense that I could still turn things around. I wasn't just a gardener, I was a soil steward, a caretaker of this precious resource, responsible for nurturing its health and vitality. The clues to my garden's health were buried in the earth. I needed to become a detective, to investigate the soil and uncover its secrets. That evening, I looked at my garden, bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, and saw potential, not failure. I envisioned a future where the garden was thriving, bursting with life and abundance. The secret wasn't a magic potion. There was no quick fix, no easy solution. It was in the dirt itself. The answer lay in understanding the soil, in working with it, in restoring its natural balance. I was determined to unlock it, to unravel the mysteries of the soil and unleash its full potential. My mission had changed: revive the soil, revive the garden. It was no longer just about growing plants. It was about creating a healthy ecosystem. I was ready to dig deeper, literally, to get my hands dirty, to explore the depths of the soil, to uncover its hidden treasures. The journey had just begun, a journey of discovery, of learning, and of transformation. I dove into research on living soil and discovered a universe of microorganisms: fungi, bacteria, protozoa, nematodes. Healthy soil teems with billions of these tiny helpers in every spoonful. They break down nutrients, protect roots, and improve soil structure. Without them, even the best fertilizer can't help starving plants. These microbes form a team with plants, exchanging nutrients and protection for sugars. My garden was missing its most valuable players. I realized I needed to restore balance, not just add products. Gardening wasn't about quick fixes. It was about understanding the system. This journey was teaching me about the interconnected web of life. My mission: bring the tiny helpers back to my soil. My research kept pointing to one group: mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi form a partnership with plant roots, creating an underground network that extends far beyond the roots themselves. They deliver water and nutrients directly to the plant, making them more resilient and productive. My soil was likely compacted and depleted, but these fungi could bridge the gap. I read stories of gardeners transforming their plants with mycorrhizal inoculant. Not all products are equal. You need a diverse blend for different plants. I found a reputable granular blend, my magic dust. Holding it felt like holding pure potential. The secret wasn't adding more from above, but building life from below. This was my eureka moment. I was ready to introduce these tiny allies to my struggling garden. The real transformation was about to begin. Armed with mycorrhizal inoculant, a promising solution in a small package, I felt a surge of hope. This wasn't just another gardening product, it was a potential game changer. I set up a simple experiment, a side-by-side comparison to truly gauge the inoculant's effectiveness. It was time to put theory into practice and see if these microscopic allies could make a tangible difference. Two sad tomato plants, victims of circumstance and less than ideal soil conditions, were chosen as my test subjects. They were clearly struggling, their leaves drooping, a perfect opportunity to test the power of mycorrhizae. One would receive the fungal treatment, becoming the beneficiary of this underground partnership, while the other would remain a control, a baseline against which to measure success. Chip watched, curious, his tail wagging with a mixture of anticipation and confusion. He seemed to sense that something important was happening in his beloved garden. As I sprinkled the granules near the roots of my test plant, ensuring direct contact for optimal colonization, each tiny speck held the promise of a vast interconnected network beneath the soil. The process was simple, just a spoonful in direct contact with the roots, a seemingly small act with potentially huge implications. It felt like planting a seed of hope, not just for the tomato plant, but for the entire garden. I watered both plants, gently saturating the soil, providing the moisture needed to activate the fungi and encourage their growth, hoping the fungi would wake up and get to work, extending their hyphae, forming a symbiotic relationship with the tomato plant's roots. It felt like a leap of faith, a step into the unknown, trusting in the power of nature's intricate web, trusting invisible helpers to make a difference, to transform the soil into a thriving ecosystem, a haven for plant life. I tucked the soil back, ensuring the roots were snug and secure, gave a deep watering, and waited with bated breath. The two plants looked identical, outwardly showing no signs of the hidden activity taking place beneath the surface. But I knew something was happening underground, a silent revolution as the mycorrhizae began their work. I'd done my part. Now it was up to nature, to the intricate dance between plant and fungi, a partnership forged in the soil. I watched and waited, hoping for a sign, a visible indication that the mycorrhizae were indeed making a difference. This was more than gardening. It was an experiment in trust, a test of faith in the unseen forces that shape our world. Would my secret ingredient really work? Would these tiny fungi truly transform these struggling plants? Only time would tell, as the days turned into weeks and the fate of my tomato plants hung in the balance. The alliance had begun, a silent partnership forged beneath the soil, a testament to the power of nature's interconnectedness. The first week, nothing changed. I checked my 2 tomato plants daily, still pale, still tired. But by week 2, the test plant's leaves deepened in color. It stood taller, looked healthier, and grew more vigorously than the control. By week 4, the difference was dramatic. The test plant was bigger, greener, and covered in new growth and flowers. The control plant lagged behind, barely growing. Soon, the test plant produced plump, red tomatoes, while the control managed only a couple of sad fruits. The transformation was astonishing, a true garden revolution. My secret microbe hadn't just helped it supercharge my plant. The results were undeniable. I'd found the missing piece. The garden was alive again, all thanks to the tiny, unseen helpers below. My faith in the soil was restored. I wanted to understand why mycorrhizal fungi made such a difference. Plant roots are like straws. They can only reach so far for water and nutrients. Mycorrhizal fungi act as super extensions, creating a vast underground network. This network accesses resources roots alone can't reach. The fungi also unlock nutrients like phosphorus, making them available to plants. In return, plants share sugars from photosynthesis. It's a perfect partnership. Both sides benefit. The fungi even improve soil structure, making it airy and moisture retentive. This helps plants survive drought and thrive in tough conditions. Mycorrhizal fungi weren't just feeding my plants, they were rebuilding my soil. The science was simple, but the impact was profound. Healthy soil, healthy plants, happy gardener. Anyone can harness this magic, no big yard or fancy degree required. Find a quality mycorrhizal inoculant with a diverse mix of species. For existing plants, poke small holes near the roots and sprinkle in the granules. For new plants, add a bit to the planting hole so roots touch the inoculant. Water well to activate the spores. Then, just care for your plants as usual and be patient. The real work happens underground in the first weeks. Soon, you'll see deeper green leaves, stronger stems, and more growth. Avoid harsh chemicals. Stick to organic amendments to keep your fungal network healthy. By working with nature, you're building a living ecosystem in your backyard. The results are worth the wait. Your garden will thank you, and you'll never look at soil the same way again. This journey started with sad tomatoes, but it changed everything. Gardening isn't just chores. It's a partnership with life beneath our feet. I'm not just growing plants, I'm nurturing an ecosystem. Discovering the world of microbes gave me a new sense of wonder and respect for nature. There's a universe in every handful of healthy soil. My role is to support that process, not control it. Now when I touch the soil, I feel life, not just dirt. I'm grateful for the tiny allies that feed my family. My garden is now a place of discovery and joy. Sometimes, the biggest solutions come in the smallest packages. And it all began by looking a little deeper and trusting the magic beneath the surface.